SteamYard Kung Fu.
StreamYard.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. StreamYard Kung Fu.
all right.
So I was watching, I don't know, have you seen Joe Rogan's interview with Trump? That was like 3 hours long.
No.
I finished it finally, but I couldn't finish in one set. I divided into, I don't know, many sections.
Yeah, in like 3 or 4
Yeah, it's
sections.
3 hours long. So today the next one I watched was with a new one with Elon Musk interview, and I want to share this with our community because in the mainstream everybody think Joe Rogan or even Elon Musk is very, discriminate trans people or very not supported. But this, I was shocked myself too. I was watching this, and then let's hear what they say. That hang on.
It's a real psychological condition called autogynephilia, where people get aroused. Heterosexual men get aroused by the idea of dressing up like women and being around women. It's like a known psychological condition that existed forever.
Sure.
And then you're allowing those people to just say, "Oh, I'm trans," and go into the women's locker room and get their kicks. And then there's real trans people. So there's like a lot of variability.
Real
like,
trans
I talked about it in my act, in my Netflix special. It's like, I believe in freedom. I believe in transgender people, but I also believe in crazy people. And if you can't, if you're trying to pretend that people aren't crazy all of a sudden, it's like,
it's just like if someone's a sort of consenting adult and they want to whatever they want to do to their body, as long as it's not harming someone else, I'm like, that's fine.
So you're hearing that?
I believe in like individual freedom.
Yeah, I hear it.
And like my mom's best friend, like growing up when I was a kid, was transgender woman in South Africa. This was like where she'd get beaten up a lot because it was like back then you get beaten up. So her name was Dion, and for a nice, kind human being, and helped my mom a lot, and I think that's okay. That's fine. If somebody wants to make that choice as an adult, that's cool.
There's a big difference between that and an intact male who wants to identify as a woman, who wants to walk around the locker room with his dick out.
Yes, exactly.
There's people that do that just because they get off on it.
Exactly. So you just can't have something which is like I said, a sort of moral invulnerability, or like where you can know, like even questioning them is. You get attacked. Because obviously bad people will abuse that.
Well, that's when I got thrown into this whole thing, because there were.
So, okay, hang on. So you still there? You hear that? So they both. So a lot of people are mistaken that about the right wingers or Republican, thinking they're against trans people. But these two, we just heard, they both support, and Elon Musk even knows somebody growing up who's trans people, and they are both supporting, what we do to our body as an adult. Right. And
we gotta remember.
And one more thing that Joe Rogan points out is there's some freaks or creeps, people who are not really trans, just use that as a excuse to do something stupid. So I think this clears out that these two people are not against trans people. It just they don't want to have people fall into the the wrong or not the real trans people. What's your thought?
And it's like, you got to remember that a lot of politicians will jump on an issue or choose a side strictly because they believe it'll get the most votes on the message. So you got to remember that among one thing, as far as one part. But it's like I said, it's like they said, I don't believe that those two have any problem with trans people. Like the average person doesn't. But when it comes down to it, the conversation, you always have people say, well, you got to pick a side. And I tell people all the time, I will pick the side I choose. You are not going to decide that for me. That's me personally. You know, like I
Yes,
don't have
that
a
should
problem
be
with trans
the
people. I don't have a problem with any of the issues except for when it
right.
comes to how things worked out with the HRT medication being given to children outside of the already designated and mandated procedures to find out, you know, to help this child figure themselves out. You know, and you know, in the past, recently and in the far past, we had too many parents trying to be thoughtful and kind and accepting go too far, you know, and take their child down a path that they shouldn't have. And then also too many psychologists do the exact same thing because it gets them more people in the door and money in their pocket. And that's really the only reason a lot of those psychologists did that. Because they're prescribing drugs and it gets more people coming in to see them because they're like, oh yeah, I'm all for trans people. Yeah, but are you really helping that person figure out who they are and what, you know, figure themselves out in their life? Or are you really just helping yourself under that guise?
Yes.
And that's made the whole issue too muddied and damaged. And then on top of that, and I really don't want to point fingers, but I gotta say it, like a lot of people in the trans community have not been consolidated enough and proactive enough to say, hey, we ain't for all of that. You know, they've not. They're trying to be accepting and open to everybody, and it's all love. It's like, no. You got to define your position as individuals and then figure out a group and do it as a group. If you don't, you're just going to get used and abused.
Yeah, like I mentioned to you, I have a lot of quote unquote friends unfriending me on Facebook. And I just feel it's so strange because we are here just to be ourselves, right? That's the main thing. We're as a
You got
community.
people going in politics like football and baseball teams.
So, but when we are trying to be ourselves and we get judged, and that's the things that we don't want we don't want other people to judge us, but we are judging each other within. So
But you know, we
this
also
is
got to remember
this is very, very, people, very contradicted.
Judging people though it's an innate thing for all humans. We're never going to be able to get away from it because it's part of your survival ability. You know, so people are going to always be judging other people for a myriad of reasons, but they all stem behind, can I trust this person and how much? You know, but at the same time, when you start bringing issues into that aren't related, you make it much more difficult something to deal with. You know, as an issue to even be discussed. There's a lot of people believe things that they're just wrong what they believe in. You can't change that.
Yeah, so
what you can do is prevent people from making decisions based on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. In the beginning, we should have a freedom of speech first, you know, freedom of opinions, freedom of thinking. And
yeah, but we also got to remember freedom of speech.
A lot of people, you know, who might unfriend me, they just have one set of thinking and they don't want you or me to have a different alternative or a second, you know, thoughts, opinions.
Yeah, because it's easy.
It's
an easier life if you don't have to think about the stuff you're supporting. You don't have to, you know, defend it or rationalize it. It's easy. Like I said, people take politics and religion the exact same way they do their favorite sports team.
Yeah.
And one's okay because it's just a sport. One's not because it's going to affect a lot of people's lives. You know, and you can say what you want, but there's been not millions, but there's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tragedies repeated time and time again throughout human history
Mm-hmm.
by adopting those practices. And we continue to do them over and over and over. Why? Because the average person, when you get so many people involved, they ain't got to think about it. They aren't. They're just going to go with it. And it's because it doesn't affect them.
Yes. So I was so excited when I saw this part of the interview. I just want to hop on here and share with everybody. And just, bottom line is never really believe what you saw on TV, traditional media, and maybe, try to watch some alternative media and then come to your own conclusion, not so fast, right?
I would suggest a lot of people who are really concerned about it should, we both know a friend that had the issue with it about the HRT and not being allowed to use it. And if my suggestion would be, if you're that concerned about it, talk to your congressman, reach out to him and talk to him about it. Find out what's really going on. Don't jump on the bandwagon. Everybody else is, dragging you down. Talk to your congressman. You have the right to talk to him or her or whoever it is. You have the right to contact them and talk to them and be like, hey, what's the deal with this? If you're not sure, call their office and find out what their written agenda and position is.
Yeah,
and
same,
engage them on that.
Yeah, same with a person, like what you just said. Let somebody finish what they want to express before you jump into the conclusion. Voila, right? And just like Joe Rogan or Elon Musk, people think they don't like trans people; they hate them. But I just showed that video. It's not that as what everybody says. Yeah. All right. So thank you again for hopping on really quick.
It's a circus. It's all a circus.
Yeah. So we will continue this topic next time.
All right.
Thank you. Bye, Thomas.
See you soon.